The aperture setting you choose also has an influence on how much of the photo is in focus. This is called the depth of field. More of your photo will appear in focus when you use a narrower than a wider aperture. The amount will vary depending on the focal length of the lens you are using and a few other factors that we'll look at in more depth in Module 4. In this lesson, I'll concentrate on the effect the aperture has on depth of field. If you're wanting to make a photo with your subject sharp and the background blurred, you'll need to use a wide aperture, a low f-stop number. If you want to make a photo where you have as much as possible in focus, then you need to use a narrower aperture setting, a higher f-stop number. Most kit lenses which come with new cameras are limited by their widest aperture settings not being very wide. This makes the lenses less expensive because the optics are smaller. The more expensive zooms and most prime lenses, ones which don't zoom, have wider aperture settings. Using these lenses, it's easier to achieve a very shallow depth of field because they will open up to f2.8 or f1.4. When you do use a wide aperture setting, you must be more careful that you focus precisely. With a shallow depth of field, it's very easy to get the focus point in the wrong part of your composition. The longer the lens you're using, the more critical this becomes. The depth of field appears shallower on photos taken with longer lenses. Experiment with a static subject, photographing it at various aperture settings with a standard lens, say 50mm, or with your zoom set to 50mm. It'll be best if your subject is not close to the background. This way you'll see the effect of the various aperture settings more clearly. You may also find it good to have your camera on a tripod or a firm surface so you can use a slower shutter speed when you have narrower aperture settings. Set your camera aperture to f22. If your lens does not have f22, choose the highest f-stop number to start with. Make a series of photos without moving your camera or subject, and do not alter your zoom. For each photo, change the aperture setting as follows: f22, f16, f11, f8, f5.6, and f4. If your lens has settings wider than f4, continue down to f2.8, f2, and f1.4. Compare your photos and take note of how clear or blurred the background is. If you're not seeing much difference, choose a subject that is further away from the background and/or move closer to your subject. There's a lot more to learn about using your aperture settings creatively, and I'll go into this in future lessons. For now, it's important to have an understanding of how aperture choice affects your exposure and the influence it has on how much of your photo is in focus. Key points from this lesson are: more of your photo will appear in focus when you use a narrower aperture setting. Less of your photo will appear in focus with a wide aperture setting. Be precise when focusing.